Welcome back to our special coverage. Let's dive deeper into tonight's first presidential debate.
We are joined by our KTLA 5 panel of political analysts, political consultant Matt Klink, civil rights attorney and founding director of the UCLA Latino Policy and Politics Initiative, Sonia Diaz, and Dakota Communications consultant Kerman Maddox. Welcome to you all. If past is president, the first half of the first presidential debate often sets the tone for the remainder of the race. If that holds true here, we are in for quite a ride. Matt Klink, to you first, your take.
I would be highly surprised if anybody's mind was changed tonight. I think that what we witnessed was a food fight. The two candidates clearly do not like each other, and there are two distinctly different visions of what America needs to be on a going forward basis. Nothing new was unearthed tonight, and maybe Joe Biden looked good because he didn't look like he was nuts. But I got to tell you, this was not a stellar performance by anybody, the moderator included.
Sonia.
I think that it's really important to recognize that President Trump was on defense. He really was not talking about anything affirmative, and he should be on defense. We have over 200,000 Americans who have lost their lives due to COVID-19, but we also know that Trump is not polling well even in the suburbs. A poll that came out of the Washington Post today showed Biden running ahead of Ronald Reagan's 1984 numbers right outside of Philadelphia. So it should be no surprise that Trump really wanted to talk badly about our urban cities and talk badly about Philadelphia, and he's hoping to still be able to regain control over Pennsylvania. It's a tight race.
Kerman, as you know, the president is inclined to provocation of his debate opponents. Joe Biden, we are told, wanted to avoid that tonight and, in fact, was stress tested several times by his aides to avoid the provocation. Did he perform well? What's your take?
Well, I think given the circumstances, he did the best he could. Donald Trump is just an absolute bully, and he tried to take over the debate from the very beginning. He bullied the moderator. He bullied Joe Biden. He disrupted the entire proceedings. It was a bad night for everybody. It was a terrible night for America. Frankly, if I didn't have to watch this to be on the show tonight, I'd have turned it off. It was just that embarrassing. I don't think anybody learned anything new. But with respect to your question, I think Joe Biden did the best he could. There were obviously moments when Trump got under his skin, when he talked about his family and things like that. But I think when you look at the big picture, the pressure is on Donald Trump because he's trailing. He's trailing in those critical battleground states. So I don't think he gained anything tonight. Now, maybe some of the hardcore members of his base were excited with that disruptive performance. But the goal here is to expand your base and reach new voters. And I recognize there are not a lot of undecided voters, but I don't think tonight was a good night for Donald Trump because I don't think he gained anything. And when you look at the fact that Joe Biden is ahead in all the critical battleground states, the pressure is on Donald Trump to change the trajectory of this race. He didn't do that tonight.
One thing that the president has gained is the ability and the opportunity, rather, to nominate a Supreme Court, someone to the Supreme Court, that being Amy Coney Barrett. Let's listen to how the debate started with a question about the Supreme Court nomination.
What's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy.
Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
So, with the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, what do you think about his trying to push it. A lot of people are saying that maybe perhaps President Trump is going too fast on pushing this nominee. What are your thoughts about the answers that they both had, especially when it comes to the Affordable Care Act? We'll start with you, Kerman.
Well, I think the Democrats are in a really difficult position because they simply don't have the votes right now to stop the process. So if the Republicans and the president want to move forward, I don't see that there's any way the Democrats can stop this from happening. The upside for the Democrats is I think the issue is on their side. If they continue to make the argument that if she's appointed to the Supreme Court, millions of Americans are going to lose their health care, and hundreds of millions of Americans might lose their health care who have pre-existing conditions. I think that's an argument that helps the vice president, and it also helps those Democratic candidates who are running for the U.S. Senate. So if this plays out as I think it will, this argument is advantage to Biden, and it's also advantage to all the Democrats who are running for the U.S. Senate, which means there's a real possibility Democrats are going to win the White House and the U.S. Senate.
Sonia, with regard to the timing of all of this, so close to the election, it's front and center of the national conversation, a strong debate on both sides. How do you feel about that with the timing? Is it something that should wait?
I think it definitely is something that should wait. Court nominations should be vetted. There obviously is the foil of Justice Garland, who did not get a fair shake because of Mitch McConnell. What we're seeing right now is a rush to push through a Supreme Court nomination by a Republican Senate in favor of their Republican president. This is politics. With that, though, I think there was an interesting point made by VP Biden during the debate about all of the Americans who have lost their health insurance because they depend on employer-sponsored health insurance. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. Despite what Trump and his administration want to say, there is no vaccine that is fully baked, that's scientifically sound, to distribute widely to the Americans that need it. So until that happens, we should not be taking steps to take away people's access to health care during the coronavirus pandemic. But if Donald Trump wants to use 40 days out from the election on this important Supreme Court seat, then that's going to galvanize the voters that Biden is focusing on in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And it provides some more evidence to go and expand the electorate in places where there's voters of color who want to see a new country that works for everybody.
Real quick, Matt, your thoughts on this before we go to break, especially when it comes to those undecided voters. Did anybody get swayed either way with their response?
No, and in fact, I will strongly disagree with what both Kerman and Sonia had said on this matter. This is an issue that it is pure raw politics. Barack Obama said it best: elections have consequences, and the Republicans control the Senate and they control the presidency. It is their obligation and their responsibility to not only nominate, but to confirm a vacant Supreme Court seat. If they didn't, Republican voters would be extremely upset, to put it mildly. And that being said, this will serve as a motivating factor. We know that Republican voters are way more motivated about the Supreme Court and the judicial space than Democrats are. I think this is a boon for Donald Trump. It will help him. And guess what? She's going to be confirmed, and nobody should be surprised that politics broke out in Washington, D.C.
We want to thank our panel of experts, Matt Klink, Sonia Diaz, and Kerman Maddox. We hope to hear more from you throughout this debate season, as we are now 35 days from Election Day. We thank you for watching this special edition of the KTLA News at 6.